What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot to talk to you about today, folks. We have Invest 92L, which is about to become a tropical depression, and we have a new area of interest in the eastern Maine development region to talk to you about as well. So we have a lot to cover. We have a lot of models to talk about. So I hope you guys are excited for today's video, because I know for a fact I am ready to go over all of this with you guys. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into it right here. So starting off, here is the National Hurricane Center. We have two areas of interest tagged. Our main area of interest is Invest 92L, which now has a 90% chance of formation in the next 48 hours and a 90% chance of formation in the next 7 days. So we're going to go ahead and read out all of this right here just to give you an idea as to what's going on right now. So let's go ahead. Let's do this. Showers and thunderstorms associated with a broad area of low pressure located about midway between the Windward Islands and the coast of West Africa have become better organized since yesterday. Environmental conditions are conducive for additional development, and a tropical depression or storm is likely to form in the next day or two as the system moves west-northwestward or northwestward at 10 to 15 miles per hour over the central tropical Atlantic. 90% chance in the next 48 hours, 90% in the next 7 days. So that's our first area of interest we're going to be talking to you about today. Our other area of interest was one that was just tagged this morning right here, the 20% chance of formation that has just come off the coast of Africa. Let's go ahead and talk about this right here. A tropical wave emerging off the west coast of Africa is producing an area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms. Some slow development of the system is possible towards the mid to latter part of this week as it moves westward at 15 to 20 miles per hour, moving from the eastern to central portion of the tropical Atlantic. 20% chance of formation in the next 7 days. This was just tagged this morning, so we're going to also want to pay attention to that as well and check the models and see how those will ultimately pan out. But starting off, we're going to go ahead and go to our current storms. We're going to go to Invest 92L. So this has been a bit of an escalation compared to what we've noticed yesterday. Here's our current location. It is currently located at 13.4 degrees north, 41.5 degrees west. Maximum sustained winds are at 30 knots or at 35 miles per hour. And the minimum central pressure is 1,007 millibars. Radius of maximum winds is 120 nautical miles right here. So we're definitely going to want to pay attention to that and see how this will ultimately pan out. We have your track models and your intensity models. Track models have this thing mainly going out to sea right here. However, if you're in Bermuda and if you're in the Lesser Antilles, you're definitely going to want to watch out for some impacts, whether it's tropical storm force winds, whether it's rain, whether it's not really storm surge, but whether it's surf, whether it's that stuff. Especially for Bermuda, you're definitely going to want to pay attention to it, as models have become very aggressive with the system over the last 24 hours. Just to kind of check very quickly, what was the 0Z runs with intensity looking like? They weren't looking like this that much. They weren't really escalating that much compared to what we're seeing at the 12Z right here. Here is your escalation point. The 12Z runs want especially the H-Wharf, want the system to get up to potentially a Category 4 hurricane by the time it starts really popping off and rapidly intensifying. Look at this jump. Going from 55 knots to about 80 in the span of about 12 hours is quite ridiculous by the H-Wharf, and the H-Wharf definitely, compared to the other models, is going off on a limb. The HAVS A has this as a high-end Category 1, the HCCA Category 2, AVNI Category 2. Majority keep it around tropical storm strength to Category 1 hurricane strength, so that's something you're going to want to consider as well. But ultimately, you do have a scenario where this system could be incredibly powerful especially as it's going to be moving into better conditions that could allow for it to rapidly intensify. And we're going to go ahead and zoom in on the satellite imagery just to show you that, taking a quick look at Invest 92L. It already has a really good rotation on it, just needs a little bit more convection near the center of circulation for it to get designated a tropical cyclone. Right here, you just need that. You have your low-level circulation and your mid-level circulation here. You just need that burst of convection for it to kind of finally complete it. So that's something to pay attention to. This is already pretty healthy, a pretty healthy wave right here. This is considerably healthy than what we had with Invest 91L. That's 6090 that ultimately busted. But now what we're looking at this, you're looking at number one, very healthy outflow generated with this. Number two, plenty of moisture associated with this. Taking a quick look at the water vapor imagery. As you can see, you have plenty of convection, you have plenty of moisture ahead of this system. Yes, there is some dry air to the north, but with the amount of outflow and the amount of convection that is being produced by this is not going to be too big of a problem, and this considerable amount of outflow will likely shield it for quite some time as it starts to develop. I will say it might inhibit some of the strengthening initially from what I've seen, but ultimately the scenario you're looking at with this is a situation where this develops, it kind of slows down its development, it kind of struggles for a while and as a tropical storm, and then starts to rapidly intensify down the road. So that's another thing you're going to want to consider, and the outflow will definitely protect it the best way it can, but we'll have to see what happens. And you're also noticing convection over here to our west that is going to continue to moisten up our atmosphere over here, especially as the system moves towards the northwest, towards that region over there, and then makes that westward turn according to the NHC. So we're going to have to pay attention to that as well here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. Looking at true color imagery right here, you can see that spin definitely a lot more defined than what we've seen over the last few days, and probably some of the best spin we have seen in that part of the main development region since Hurricane Aaron back just a few weeks ago. So you're going to want to pay attention to this. This is our future tropical storm Gabrielle right here that you're going to want to watch for. 91L was kind of a false alarm. 92L is the real deal, folks. So you're definitely going to want to watch out for this going down the line. But you're also going to want to watch out for this area of interest in the eastern Atlantic as well. The one that's coming off the coast of Africa. Yeah, it may not seem so impressive right now, but it is going to be moving into a favorable area for development pretty shortly. Now, the main question I have with this is, will this area of interest, will 91L produce so much outflow to the point where it starts to shear the system? That we're not 100% sure about. They are relatively close to each other, comparatively speaking. I know they're still like hundreds of miles away from each other. Heck, I'm probably even 1,000 miles away at this point, but it's still a little too close for comfort for me, in my opinion, based on the fact that you could see a scenario where if this area of interest off the coast of Africa moves too quickly and Gabrielle over here that potentially develops, which is 92L now, moves too slowly, it could cause a few vorticity issues similar to what we saw with 91L. So those are also something we're watching as well. Personally, I don't think it's going to be moving. That's going to be too big of an issue as long as Gabrielle keeps moving to the north over here. I know I keep pre-naming storms in this video right here. I do apologize for that. I'll get a little better at that. But 92L, as long as it moves further to the north and stays out of the way of this tropical wave, I don't think that'll be too big of an issue this time around. And still, we're going to want to watch out for this because models definitely do want something to happen with this. The question is, what exactly is going to happen? So we're going to want to watch out for that here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. But first, we're going to go ahead and show you some operational runs, and then we're finally going to get to our hurricane models because we never have gotten to those just yet. Here is the 0Z run for the European. We'll go ahead and start with this right here. This was initiated last night, and it is currently initiated last night. I actually want to go ahead and refresh the page real quickly. Yeah, okay, this was refreshed last night, and this is what we have for you right here from the European at this current point. So you have the system organizing. It's going to take its time to consolidate, becomes a tropical, either a big tropical depression or tropical storm in the next couple of days, according to the European. You also have this system over here in the eastern Atlantic that's kind of being popped up here by the European. But this ultimately, this 91L does kind of start off as a pretty slow intensification right here, around 1,003 millibar peak right here at 90 hours right here by September 19th. And it does kind of weaken a little bit and stay the same. But then as we get to September 20th, as we head towards the southwestern Atlantic, the system does start to intensify very quickly. And the European actually has this as a 955 millibar system coming very close to Bermuda right here. And the system behind it organizing at a pretty quick pace too, actually getting up to tropical storm strength as well before starting to down to stall and then rapidly intensify from that point as well by the time we get to 300 plus hours out. So at least according to the European, we could see a scenario where we see a couple of hurricanes with this right here. However, it is too early to determine whether we get that or not, but we will keep you updated here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. That's your European. Here is what the AI model is showing. We're going to go ahead and pop this up right here. The AI model is definitely very supportive of this system getting its act together if this will actually load some more hours. There we go. And then you have this kind of slowing down, consolidating. The AI model does kind of level off a little bit until right towards the end with it, which I do think is kind of interesting right here. It does ultimately have the system developing. I'm a little curious as to what's going on with this, whether it's the low resolution or whether it's seeing something the rest of the models aren't, but we do see the rest of the operational models are really liking this down the line. We can go ahead and show you the GFS as well. Here's the 0Z GFS that we have pulled up for you right here. GFS has the system organizing and consolidating and then weakening a little bit and then starting to really ramp up in intensity as it gets towards Bermuda. 965 millibar system just east of Bermuda right there. And then you have this system over here towards the east that the GFS I don't think has too big of a handle with in terms of the track. There's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things thrown up in the air with this system I've noticed, so we'll have to pay attention to it. Compare that to the 12Z GFS. What's the latest model run going for with this one? Right here, you have the 12Z GFS having the system consolidating pretty quickly and then starting to really ramp up in intensity as it heads towards Bermuda. 958 millibar system just to the east of it right here, and then a 1,004 millibar system right after that. And then the GFS just has the system moving further to the west as a ridge starts to build in. But then as time goes on, as the system intensifies even further, so even the GFS wants this to become a big hurricane as well compared to the European. Also showing a few things happening in the Gulf region. You're going to want to pay attention to that as well. And that's kind of the switch we've been waiting for this entire hurricane season, back-to-back systems like this. So that's the GFS. Next one we'll show you is the Canadian as well. Canadian, similar to the European GFS, taking its time, then rapidly intensifying as it gets towards the Gulf, not the Gulf region, the southwestern Atlantic, and really blowing up from here. So that's what you're dealing with right there. Also trying to figure out what this area of interest is going to do back here. We'll watch out for that as well. And lastly, we will go ahead and show you the Icon model. Icon's definitely pretty interesting as well as you look at this. The Icon does take its time to consolidate, and it actually moves further to the west compared to the rest of the models, but we'll have to pay attention to it, and it's fairly weaker as well. So basically, the scenario we have is if this system stays weak and relatively weak, it'll move further to the west. If it rapidly intensifies, it's going to go out to sea or impact Bermuda. That's the main focus we're watching with at this current point. So that's your situation we are dealing with right here with the operational runs. Here is what your hurricane models are showing. Right here we have the HWRF, the HAVS models, and the HMON to show you with this too. Here is what we have with the HWRF. It's starting to load in, at least the 12Z is right here. We'll go ahead and load the 6Z in just for simplicity's sake. Just keep a note, model runs do change from time to time. They are always subject to change. Just want to make that clear right here and right now. So here is your HWRF. 24 hours out, this system is expected to become a tropical storm. As this heads closer, it moves out to sea right here. The HWRF really wants the system to intensify pretty quickly. It gets up to strong tropical storm strength by the time we get to 2 days out and kind of remains consolidated at this current point, a strong low pressure system with it as well. But then as you get to 4 days out, this system really starts to rapidly intensify and really starts to turn up to a major hurricane right here that you're going to want to pay attention to. And look at the structure of this system. and how this also evolves as well. Remains relatively disorganized and kind of does its best to get consolidated, but it's going to be mainly dealing with a little bit of wind shear for a little while. And then as we get to about 3 days out, the structure starts to organize a lot more and consolidates and really refines its core by the time we get to 4 days out. And by the time we get to that, it starts rapidly intensifying, and the core just continues to improve more and more. This looks like it'll actually be a relatively large system as well, according to the H-Wharf, that we're going to want to watch out for as well. So that's your H-Wharf run. Here is your HMON that we have pulled up for you right here. We'll go ahead and show that once we get that popped up. We do have some of the 12Z run in. We'll show the 6Z and see how much of the 12Z we can show you. But here is the 6Z model right here. System starts to consolidate, starts to organize right here. We're going to go ahead and show you those main sea level pressure winds. Tropical storm strength with this, and as we get to 48 hours out, we do see a 50 mile per hour tropical storm getting its act together. Mainly kind of takes its time to organize and develop, but then as we get to 4 days out, things do get a bit more interesting right here. The HMON actually is one of those scenarios that takes its time to organize and develop right here, so you're going to want to watch out for that. Comparing that to the 12Z, what do we have here? 12Z has this system starting to consolidate, trying to get its act together, mainly running into a little bit of shear as well. So you're going to want to watch out for that as well. But you are seeing an uptick with the models with this, especially the hurricane models compared to what we've seen previously. So that's your HMON. Here is your halves A. Let's go ahead and go to Invest 92L and go to the 6Z right here. If this will actually load, yes, it will. Here's what we have with the halves A. Kind of, it's a little wonky right here with its initial trying to find the low pressure system right here. This is a game of find the low pressure system right here. And I think the halves A is pretty wonky, especially as we get to the end of it. I don't really like its initialization over here, but we'll still keep an eye on it. Let's see what the 12Z, if does it correct these issues? Not exactly, no. Hopefully it does. It actually does correct some of the problems down the line, but it needs to get better at doing that before I can fully trust that. But then we'll go ahead and show the halves B run as well. Here's the halves B. Taking a quick look at this. Here's the 6Z as well. Halves B doesn't have as big of an issue as the halves A did. Looking at these right here. Still getting up to a strong tropical storm strength before shear starts to kind of chip away at the structure a little bit. But then it starts to get its act together once again about 5 days out or so. So we're definitely going to want to watch out continuing as well. Same thing with the 12Z, definitely doing a little bit better with its consolidation right here as well. Potentially a hurricane strength as we get to about 60 hours out, but then as the system starts to kind of wrap itself around, you do notice that structure really starts to improve about 3 days out. So those are all things that we're going to want to watch out for here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel, but we're still, regardless, this system does have a very high ceiling, in my opinion, to be a very powerful system going down the line. And I do think rapid intensification, given once it gets past that shear and once it gets into the 29 degrees Celsius waters and over 100 OHC, will be a lot better. I do think it is very possible at this current point. So that's just something we're going to want to watch out for here. Those are all things we're going to want to pay attention to as the hurricane season starts to ramp up once again. As we see that 020 starting to kind of get its act together off the MDR and off the coast of Africa and into the MDR. We're also going to want to pay attention to that as well. Models don't have the best handle of it right now, but I will say that we could see something interesting happen right behind Invest 92L down the line, and that's also something that we're going to want to pay attention to, especially if it moves further to the west and potentially towards the Antilles down the line, but that's way out at that current point, and that's just speculation at this point. We're just going to want to take this day by day, but I do think we're going to see tropical storm development, or at least tropical development with 92L happen either this afternoon, this evening, or early tomorrow morning. That's my pick for when this will happen, and we'll keep you updated on this here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. As for streaming, let me know if you want a late night stream tomorrow night. I'd be willing to do it. Let me know in the comments down below. I'll definitely accommodate and see if you guys would like to do that. But if not, we'll just keep the videos here for now until Friday, and then we can start streaming at a regular time from there. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close the video out right here. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The goal, as always, is to get more people engaged with weather. Also, my buddy Weather Kingdom, he finally got monetized for Super Chats, so if he does stream again, show him some love, like his stream, subscribe to the channel, his channel if you are new. He'd really appreciate that. If you'd like to help out, hang out, or ask us questions, feel free to join the Storms United Discord server. Link to that is in the end screen. And with that being said, have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.